that sense. So that was my soothing space.
Yeah.
Or a space in which I could find myself. And I used to think to myself, one day I will get away from here. Because at that time, I didn't know where, but I was like beyond those mountains and in different countries. But at that time, I didn't even know what different countries were, or even what's beyond the mountains. I didn't see anything else apart from the little village we were part of.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was interesting to, thank you for reminding us to think back of that space, and how we have the wisdom in ourselves in that sense. Like innately it was in me. I become a therapist years later, like I love to, when people are, the feedback that they get, oh my God, this was amazing. Or like, I love to dive in. I dive into that space. I connect with the body. And, I work with it. I flow with it. I love this.
Yeah. I can vouch for that, because I've had one of your healing sessions, and it's been one of the best healing sessions I've ever had. And without me telling you, you brought about so much. You tapped into so much which was happening in my body, what was going on with my feminine, side of that as well. And when I left there, it literally felt as if, just I've been dipped into some pure energy and cleansed from head to toe, literally. And when I slept that night, I think I've had one of the best sleeps in ages, so. And that was a session where you didn't physically touch me at all. It was just Reiki, angelic healing. You were working a little bit higher above my body. So there was no physical touch, but I literally felt everything, and I think I even dozed off. If I remember, you told me that you just literally were gone in 10 minutes. And I did. I enjoyed the session thoroughly. So, that is also something which I cannot take away from you. You're born to do this. And like you said, thank you for reminding me about your childhood and the cherry tree. I was actually thinking a couple of days ago, I was sitting and I said, you know what? How certain things you just know. Nobody has taught you. Nobody has, you haven't heard it before. So I was thinking, where have I seen somebody sit in silence, complete silence, and completely disconnected from whatever is happening around them? It doesn't matter what is going on. They are just deep inside in that cocoon. We are completely in touch with them. And I went to sleep not having found the answer. And literally in my dream I've seen my grandmother sitting, literally, and I remember it's the winter time as well, so she's sitting in her room in a corner in winter time. So she's got this literally like a shawl on her, like a warm woolen cardigan, and then on top of that she's got a wrap around her. And that's where I kind of then remembered, so that's my first memory of her being, in that space. So, and let me tell, the audience that the conversation which has gone the way which has gone, some of the questions we haven't even touched on. That is what it means, that yes, we have the questions there, but the conversation just flows and we don't need to alter it, because this is the conversation we're supposed to be having today. And I'm glad as well that, you haven't brought it up as well, that, but this is not what I was given. You're not going to ask me these.
Not at all, my darling. Life is flowing, and when we flow in the moment with it, life is sacred, life is honoring. And, our elders have taught us that nature teaches that, nature teaches, that
Absolutely.
Life is cycles upon cycles. And the more we learn to reattune to that space within ourselves, which we call the feminine dimension, it's just natural.
Absolutely.
A natural part of us, of who we are, inherent. It's a primal way of honoring ourselves, our ancestors, and future generations.
Absolutely.
So we are transmitting that further to them.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been a writer. you know, in the sense that I can't put words into how, you know, some people can beautifully articulate it into poems and, you know, the stories and whatnot. I do a lot of daydreaming about stories in my head, but they don't kind of, from there, they don't come onto the pen and paper as I want them. Recently, a friend of mine, you know, because of the situation which happened because of the lockdown, she's a creative writer, English professor, you know, and wonderful 2 accounts to follow on Instagram, you know. And she started this, that she asked the general public, you know, to literally send in write-ups, whether it could be poems, whether it could be how you're feeling during the lockdown, you know, if you're feeling whatever it is, short kind of, you know, stories, or what lessons have you learned because of the pause which has been put upon us. Because as human beings, we were just running at blind speed, neck speed, you know, not realizing that we are almost about to probably crash. And then nature took over and said, hold on, I'm giving you warnings. Literally, I've given you warnings. I've brought about, you know, floods. I've brought about volcanoes. I've brought about tornadoes. I've brought about cleansing through, you know, air, water, fires in the Amazon and, you know, in Australia last year, up until January, when, you know, we went into lockdown. Certain parts of the world went into lockdown. Fires were still raging in Australia. And you, as human beings, are not taking attention or even pausing to take a moment to understand what I'm trying to teach you through all this phenomena. So let me take over and show you who the master is. So bam, now you have no option but to just be in that pause state until I give you the permission to go back to living your life, whatever the new normal will be. And she started creating, you know, write-ups and whatnot. And the number of people, I think by the time she closed it, she had about 53 or 54 people who wrote to her.
Wow.
And I was one of them. And my was called Rising as a Phoenix. Literally, I had no idea what I was going to write. I was struggling, and, you know, my friend kept telling me, Rupi, I haven't got anything from you. I want to have something from you. Please do your best. So I was like, okay. And I remember, you know, literally listening to a meditation in the background, and then literally kind of slumping in to enjoy that meditation, closing my eyes and literally completely being present in that meditation. And next thing I know, my mind is being flooded with all these words. And I'm thinking, no, 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 this is my time for meditation. I don't want any of this. And I'm being told, no, 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 this is what you need to start putting down on pen and paper. And I literally am like this, oh my God, pen, paper, pen, paper. And I literally, I have no idea, but it just literally, words literally started forming, and I literally started putting them down on pen and paper. And boom, I had something which I sent her, and she absolutely loved it. She said, but we need a picture of the phoenix. And she sent me a couple of them. I found some, and we both agreed that is not the picture we wanted for the phoenix. And then literally on Instagram, we found an art account, beautiful picture of the phoenix rising, completely in awe of what the, you know, person, sorry, the bird that is, beautiful colors of orange and fire. And I was like, this is our picture. She was like, but this is somebody's private art. I said, yes, we will, you know, give credit to them in our post. We are not going to just use the art and not say. And I said, I'll find a picture which has got the name of the art or the artist there. And we found one beautiful one. And on the picture, I think as well, it was something was written, I think, rise up or something like that. The words were already there. And I said, there's nothing much better than this picture to put what you want to put, which I have sent you. And I said, if you can't do it that way, then I don't want to be, you know, putting that up. And we were like, yes, we can use this. And then we credited the artist, and the artist was like, thank you, you know, thank you that it resonated with you. Thank you that it, you know, felt that, you know, this is what something you wanted to use. and very grateful for that. So, it's something, like you said, when you're in flow, you find things come to you, things happen, and everything starts taking shape.
Absolutely.
Where you are concerned, you also teach women how to be in touch with their absolute, I won't say the feminine side of it, but the actual inner part of a female, through touch, through I'm just going to go back to my notes to see, yes, through the massage therapy, through the touch, through self love, through genuine affection, and that loss of innocence, but that innocence can be again recreated back into your life. So if I was to ask you, what ritual do you use, or what is it, how do you go about doing it, what's the best way you can describe to our listeners, or somebody who's watching?
Right. So for me personally, I do that through movement, through dance, and belly dance. Why I use belly dance, because it is such an evocative music in that sense, right? It puts us into that space. So we're using a lot of spiral and circle movements, right? So it is allowing the movement, right? The feminine energy pulsates, it's full of waves, it's rhythmical, right? It is magnetism.
Yeah.
So then when we get into this state, automatically you align the brain as well to connect to the intelligence of the body, right? So then you become one. And also honoring our sexuality, and our sexuality is very much like the oxygen that we breathe. And we all know that, in different parts of the world, sexuality has such a, taboo connotation to it, and the way it's being interpreted and looked at. And we carry that. And if we think of our body that is 80% water, and that water carries memory, then therefore, and I personally have been carrying a lot of shame, a lot of embarrassment, a lot of disconnection. And like, I read the Bible when I was a kid, and I was very disassociated in that sense from, like, inherently I felt like it is not truth, but the Bible was telling me that is the truth. And like, there was created a lot of conflict. And belly dancing has helped me to reclaim the aspects of the feminine, especially for us women, that we suppress, we hide, and especially around sexuality and our beauty and self-expression, and the way we are, like, it brings that part of us that we shame and disown and dishonor into honor. So therefore, the profane in that sense becomes sacred, becomes one. It's not separated. And within that, when we bridge that, when we bring all the guilt, the disparity, the fear, the no, oh my God, it's a taboo, I cannot even think about it, or even touch. Like, I've met a lot of women that, they're uncomfortable with being touched, and I can understand. Perhaps there is a lot of pain residing in there. Perhaps there is a lot of emotional stuff that, it's being suppressed. It's understandable.
Yeah.
It starts with you, like, allowing yourself to, like, even if you touch yourself and just see what arises from within you. This is your sacred space. Again, is creating a space in which you get to know yourself, you get to find out who you are, and what is that. And when we bridge that, that's when the innocence and the purity and the awe and magic happens, because we bridge the profane with the sacred. We bridge the masculine and the feminine within us. Our magnetic charge, our field, expands around us. Our heart opens up. When our heart is open and is relaxed and is in the state of being, therefore it emanates, but also it releases a lot of chemicals